I sat in the back row of the funeral home, watching my brother Ryan adjust his Rolex for the third time in 5 minutes. My sister Nicole kept checking her phone, probably billing hours even during our grandmother's funeral. My father stood at the front, accepting condolences with the practiced grace of someone who'd been preparing for this moment. Nana had been 92 when she passed. Everyone said it was peaceful, in her sleep, exactly how she would have wanted it. But as I looked at my family, I couldn't shake the feeling that they were more relieved than sad. Relieved that the responsibility was over. Relieved that they could finally move on. Sarah. My father's voice cut through my thoughts. Pay attention. The lawyer's about to start. I straightened in my chair, suddenly aware that the small gathering had shifted from the memorial service to the reading of the will. Mr. Chen, Nana's longtime attorney, had set up a small table near the front. My brother and sister moved to the chairs closest to him, like sharks circling prey. I stayed where I was. Thank you all for being here during this difficult time, Mr. Chen began, adjusting his glasses. Mrs. Isabella Romano was very specific about her wishes. Let's begin. Ryan leaned forward. Nicole's phone finally went dark. My father crossed his arms, his face unreadable. To my son, Thomas, Mr. Chen read, and my father's shoulders relaxed slightly. I leave my house at 2847 Maple Drive, fully paid, along with its contents, excluding items specifically bequeathed to others. My father nodded. The house was worth at least $500,000, maybe more in the current market. Ryan caught my eye and smirked. To my grandson, Ryan Thomas Romano, I leave the sum of $300,000 from my primary savings account. Ryan's smirk became a full smile. Well, he said, not quite under his breath. At least someone recognized good sense when they saw it. To my granddaughter, Nicole Marie Romano, I leave the sum of $250,000 from my secondary savings account, along with my complete jewelry collection, to be appraised and distributed as she sees fit. Nicole actually laughed, a bright, delighted sound. Oh, Nana, you always did know quality. Then Mr. Chen looked at me. There was something in his expression, something I couldn't quite read. Pity? Sympathy? To my granddaughter, Sarah Elizabeth Romano, I leave the contents of my kitchen storage, specifically the metal recipe box on the top shelf, along with all notebooks and papers contained therein. The room went silent. Then Ryan started laughing. A recipe box? Seriously? Ryan, my father said, but he didn't sound angry. He sounded almost amused. Nicole was more direct. Dad, that's it? Nothing else? No cash, no property, nothing? Mr. Chen cleared his throat. Those are Mrs. Romano's wishes as stated in her will, dated the 15th of January 2024, and properly witnessed. This is ridiculous, Ryan said, standing up. Sarah, I'm sorry, but you've got to admit this is pretty clear. Nana always liked you, sure, but let's be real about who actually made something of themselves. I felt my face burning. I make a good living. As a social media manager, Nicole said, and somehow she made it sound like I cleaned sewers for a living. Ryan's an investment banker. I'm a senior associate at Morrison & Whitley. You post on Instagram for a boutique PR firm. It's not just Instagram. The point is, my father interrupted, your grandmother made her choices. She left you what she thought you deserved. Maybe you should think about what that means. I wanted to argue. I wanted to tell them that I was the only one who visited Nana every week, who called her every day, who actually listened when she talked about the old days. But they wouldn't understand. They never had. Can I get the recipe box now? I asked Mr. Chen quietly. Of course. I have it in my car. I'll bring it in after we finish here. The rest of the will was minor items, some donations to her church, instructions for her funeral. I barely heard it. I kept replaying that moment. A recipe box. That's what 70 years of my grandmother's life in America had left me. A box of recipes. When Mr. Chen brought it in 20 minutes later, it was smaller than I expected. A metal box, maybe 12 inches by 8 inches, dented on one corner and spotted with rust. He handed it to me along with 3 spiral notebooks, the kind you could buy at any drugstore for 99 cents. I'm sorry, Mr. Chen said quietly. For what it's worth, your grandmother spoke very highly of you. Just not highly enough to leave me anything worth having, I said, and immediately felt guilty. But he was already turning away. Ryan came over as I was putting the box and notebooks into my bag. Hey, look, don't take it personally. Nana was old. Maybe she forgot or something. She didn't forget, I said. She was sharp until the very end. Then maybe she was trying to tell you something. He shrugged. Listen, Nicole and I are going to Marcello's to celebrate. You want to come? Celebrate? Well, not celebrate, but you know. Life goes on. First round's on me. I looked at him, really looked at him. He genuinely didn't see anything wrong with what he'd just said. To him, this was normal. Get your inheritance, go get drunk, move on. I'm going home, I said. Suit yourself. He walked away, already pulling out his phone. My father found me in the parking lot. Sarah. I turned, hoping for something. An apology. An acknowledgement that what had just happened was hurtful. Something. Your grandmother loved you, he said. But she also knew you. Think about that. Then he was gone too, climbing into his Mercedes and driving away. I sat in my car for a long time, the recipe box on my lap. Finally, I opened it. The recipes were handwritten on index cards, some yellowed with age, some stained with oil or tomato sauce. Nona's handwriting, that careful script she'd learned in Italy before coming to America at 19. Osso buco, carbonara, tiramisu. Dozens of them, each one a memory. I remembered being 7, standing on a stool in her kitchen, watching her make pasta from scratch. I remembered being 15, learning to make her famous lasagna. I remembered every Sunday dinner, every holiday, every moment in that warm, fragrant kitchen that had always felt more like home than my own house ever did. And suddenly, I was crying. Not because of the inheritance, because she was gone. Because the woman who'd made me feel valued and loved was never going to cook for me again. That night, in my small apartment, I made Nana's chicken cacciatore. I followed her recipe card exactly, measuring out the wine and tomatoes, browning the chicken just right. When I tasted it, I almost broke down again. It was perfect. It tasted like Sunday dinner, like home, like love. I posted a picture on my Instagram, not my work account, my personal one, just the dish, golden and fragrant, with a caption, Nana's recipe, missing her tonight. By morning it had 200 likes and 40 comments. Friends I hadn't talked to in years, coworkers. Even my high school best friend who'd moved to Seattle wrote, I remember that dish. Your grandma made it for my birthday once. Is there any way you could share the recipe? Something clicked in my mind. I spent the next week cooking every recipe in the box. I photographed each one, wrote about the memories attached to them, shared them online. People responded. They shared their own memories of their grandmothers, their own lost recipes, their own grief expressed through food. My following grew. 500, 1,000, 2,000. Then I opened the first notebook. It wasn't recipes, it was notes, business notes, names and phone numbers, dates and amounts. My grandmother had run a catering business for 40 years before selling it and retiring, and I'd always known it was successful, but I hadn't known the details. Until now. Page after page of contacts, restaurant owners, event planners, corporate clients, and next to many of them, little notes in Italian, trustworthy, good for large orders, pays on time, uses these for employee events. There were also notes about suppliers, about costs, about profit margins. My grandmother had built an empire from nothing, and she documented every step. But it was the note folded inside the back cover that changed everything. Sarah, it said in English, you are the only one who saw the work. The others saw the money. You understood that food is love and love is work. These people will remember me. Tell them you are my granddaughter. Tell them you learned at my stove. They will help you, cara mia. Not because of money, but because they remember. This is your inheritance. Use it well. Ti voglio bene sempre. Nonna. My hands were shaking. The next day, I called the first name on the list. Antonio Russo, owner of Russo's Trattoria in the North End. Hello, Mr. Russo. My name is Sarah Romano. I'm Isabella Romano's granddaughter. There was a pause. Then, Bella's granddaughter? How is she? I haven't heard from her in months. She passed away 2 weeks ago. No, his voice cracked. No, I didn't know. Sarah, I'm so sorry. Your grandmother, she was an artist, a genius. She catered my daughter's wedding 20 years ago. Best food anyone had ever tasted. We talked for an hour. He told me stories about Nana I'd never heard. About the time she'd saved a corporate event when the original caterer canceled. About the midnight phone calls when he was starting his restaurant and needed advice. About the way she'd treated her staff, her suppliers, her clients. What are you doing now? He finally asked. Working in social media marketing. But I've been thinking about doing something with food, honoring her legacy. Come see me, he said immediately. Tomorrow, We'll talk. I went. Antonio was in his 70s, silver-haired and elegant. His restaurant was beautiful, all warm wood and exposed brick. We sat in a quiet corner, and I showed him the notebooks. "This is treasure," he said, running his finger down a page. "Your Nana, she knew everyone, and everyone loved her. You know why?" I shook my head. Because she was real. No pretension, no shortcuts. Just good food, made with love, served with respect. That's worth more than any money. "I want to start something," I said. "Maybe a catering company. Or a small restaurant. But I don't have the capital." My inheritance was just the recipe box. He smiled. "Your inheritance was knowledge. Recipes can be copied. Knowledge is earned. And your Nana gave you 70 years of knowledge." He paused. "I have a space. Upstairs. Used to be a private dining room. It's empty now. Too small for events, too big for storage. You could use it. Start small. Do dinner parties, small catering, build a name. I can't afford to rent space from you." "Who said anything about rent? Call it payment on an old debt. Your Nana helped me when I was starting. Now I help her granddaughter. This is how it works." I started crying again. He handed me a napkin. "Also," he said, "you'll need staff. My niece just graduated culinary school. She's looking for real experience, not some corporate kitchen. You want to meet her?" That's how it began. I kept my day job but used every evening and weekend to build something new. I called every contact in Nana's notebooks. Some didn't remember her. Some had retired or moved on. But enough did remember. Enough to create a network. Maria, Antonio's niece, became my sous chef. She was 24, talented, hungry to prove herself. We experimented with Nana's recipes, updating them slightly but keeping their soul intact. I called my client list at work and offered a unique service: authentic Italian catering for corporate events, using traditional recipes and techniques. My boss at the PR firm was skeptical, but let me try it for a client retreat. The food was a hit. We got 3 more bookings from that one event. I named the business Bella's Table, after Nana. I created an Instagram account and started posting. Not just food photos, but stories. Every dish had a story, a memory, a connection to my grandmother's life. My personal following grew, but more importantly, my business grew. Small dinner parties led to bigger events. Bigger events led to corporate contracts. Corporate contracts led to wedding inquiries. 6 months after Nana died, I quit my job and went full-time with Bella's Table. My family had no idea. Ryan called once, 3 weeks after the funeral, to ask if I wanted to come to his new condo for a housewarming party. I said I was busy with work. "Still at the social media thing?" he asked. "Still working," I said carefully. Nicole sent a text for my birthday. "Hope you're doing well. Miss you." We hadn't seen each other since the funeral. My father called on Thanksgiving. "You're coming to dinner, right? Your aunt's asking about you." "I can't. I have to work." "On Thanksgiving?" "I'm catering an event." "You're catering?" He sounded confused. "Since when?" "Since Nana left me her recipes." He was quiet for a moment. "Sarah, you can't make a career out of a recipe box." "Watch me," I said and hung up. By the 1-year anniversary of Nana's death, Bella's Table had catered over 100 events. We had a waiting list. I'd hired 3 more staff members. Maria and I were looking at potential locations for a small restaurant, and I hadn't told my family any of it. Then Ryan's assistant called me. "Hi, Sarah. This is Jennifer from Ryan Romano's office. He'd like to book your catering services for a corporate event next month." I almost dropped the phone. "I'm sorry, what?" "Your company was recommended by one of his clients. Something about authentic Italian cuisine. He's hosting 50 people at his home, and he'd like a full menu, family-style service." "Who recommended me?" I asked. "Let me check." "Oh, James Whitmore from Whitmore Industries. He said the food at his company retreat was the best he'd had in years." James Whitmore, I remembered him. Nice guy. Had specifically asked for Nona's osso buco. "Tell Ryan I'll call him directly," I said. I waited 2 days, let him sweat a little. Then I called his cell. "Sarah?" He sounded surprised. "Why is your name coming up as Bella's Table Catering?" "Because that's my company." "Your company? Since when do you have a catering company?" "Since about 8 months ago. I hear you need a caterer." "Wait, you're the one Jennifer was talking about? The recommendation from Whitmore?" "That's me." He laughed, but it sounded uncertain. "This is crazy. I mean, I thought you were still doing the social media thing." "I was. I'm not anymore." "So do you want to book or not? Because I have a waiting list." A waiting list? Ryan, I don't have time for this. Do you want to hire me or not? Yes. Yeah, absolutely. This is great, actually. Keep it in the family, right? I quoted him my rates. I heard him choke. That's per person? That's my rate. You want authentic Italian food made from scratch using premium ingredients. That's what it costs. Sarah, come on, we're family. Can't you give me a discount? I don't do family discounts, but I can refer you to another caterer if my rates don't work for you. Silence. Then, no, it's fine. Book it. I smiled. Great. I'll send you the contract. The event was exactly as satisfying as I'd hoped. Ryan's home was gorgeous, a penthouse condo with floor-to-ceiling windows. His guests were Boston's elite, finance bros, tech entrepreneurs, old money socialites. I arrived early with my team to set up. Ryan answered the door in expensive casual, the kind of outfit that looks effortless but costs $1,000. Sarah, this is so exciting. I can't believe my little sister is catering my party. Your caterer is catering your party, I corrected. Let us work. We transformed his dining room. Family-style platters of Nana's classics. Handmade pasta with Sunday gravy. Chicken marsala. Roasted vegetables with balsamic. Fresh focaccia. For dessert, her legendary tiramisu. The guests loved it. I watched from the kitchen as they ate, the conversations growing louder and happier as the meal progressed. Antonio had taught me that food does this, creates connection. Nana had known it instinctively. One of Ryan's colleagues, a woman in her 50s, came into the kitchen. You're the chef? Yes, ma'am. This food is extraordinary. Where did you train? At my grandmother's stove. She smiled. The best school there is. Are you available for private events? I host an annual fundraiser. 200 people. I took her card. When the evening ended and the guests had left, Ryan found me in the kitchen. We were packing up the last of the equipment. Sarah, that was incredible. Everyone loved it. You're really good at this. Thank you. I had no idea you could cook like that. There's a lot you don't know about me, Ryan. He leaned against the counter, watching me work. Listen, I feel bad about the inheritance thing. The way Nicole and I reacted, it was insensitive. It was honest. Yeah, but still. I mean, we all got money and you got recipes. That must have hurt. I stopped packing and looked at him. Really looked at him. He meant well. He always had. But he didn't understand. He couldn't. Nana didn't leave me recipes, I said. She left me a roadmap. Every dish, every note, every contact she'd cultivated over 40 years. She left me her life's work, Ryan. Not her money. Her legacy. But you could have had money and the recipes. No, I couldn't. Because if I'd gotten money, I would have done what you did. Put it in savings, maybe bought a nicer car, continued with my comfortable life. The recipes made me uncomfortable. They made me question what I was doing with my life. They made me work. He frowned. I work hard. I know you do. But did you build something? Or did you just maintain what was already there? He didn't answer. Thank you for the booking, I said. If you want to hire me again, you know where to find me. 2 weeks later, Nicole called. Her voice was tight, controlled. Sarah, we need to talk. About what? About how you catered Ryan's party and didn't tell anyone. About how you apparently have this whole business that none of us knew about. What the hell, Sarah? You never asked what I was doing. Because you said you were working. We thought you meant your old job. I am working, just not at the old job. This is so typical of you. Always playing the victim, always acting like we don't care about you, and then you go and do something like this without telling anyone. Nicole, you got $250,000 at the funeral and didn't spare a single thought for how I felt. You laughed when I got a recipe box. Why would I tell you anything? Because we're family. Are we? Really? I took a breath. Look, I don't want to fight. I'm building something I'm proud of. Something Nana would be proud of. If you want to be part of my life, great. But I'm not going to apologize for succeeding on my own terms. She hung up on me. My father called an hour later. Your sister is very upset. I know. She feels like you've been hiding things from the family. I haven't been hiding anything. I've been working. With Nana's recipes? Yes. Silence. Then, how's it going? I was so surprised I almost dropped the phone. What? The business. How's it going? It's going well. Really well. We're looking at opening a small restaurant next year. A restaurant. He sounded thoughtful. That's a big step. It is. Do you have investors? Some. Antonio Russo has been helping me. He owns Russo's Trattoria. He knew Nana. Antonio. I remember him. Came to her retirement party. Another pause. Sarah, I owe you an apology. Dad. No, let me say this. When your grandmother left you the recipes, I thought she was being sentimental, old-fashioned. I thought she was doing you a disservice, to be honest. But I was wrong. She knew exactly what she was doing. I felt tears starting. She did. You were always her favorite, you know. Not because you were the youngest or because you visited the most. Because you saw her. Really saw her. Not as an old woman, but as a person with stories and skills and wisdom. The others never did that. Dad, I'm proud of you. I should have said that a long time ago. But I'm saying it now. I'm proud of you. We talked for another hour. He told me stories about Nana I'd never heard, about her early days in America, about the struggles she'd faced, the discrimination, the long hours, the doubt, and how she'd persevered anyway, building something real and lasting. She wanted you to have that same fire, he said, that same determination. Money would have dampened it, made it too easy. I understand that now, I said. Can I come see your restaurant when it opens? If you'll have me? Of course. You're invited to the opening night. After we hung up, I sat in my apartment for a long time, looking at Nana's recipe box on my shelf. It had seemed so small that day at the funeral, so insignificant compared to houses and cash and jewelry. But it had been everything. Bella's Table restaurant opened 14 months after Nana died. Small space, 40 seats, exposed brick and warm lighting. We served traditional Italian cuisine made from her recipes, each dish with a story, each meal a memory. Ryan came to the opening. So did Nicole. So did my father. They sat at a table together, looking slightly uncomfortable but present. I watched them from the kitchen door. Maria nudged me. You going to talk to them? Eventually. Let them eat first. The food did what food always does. It softened them. I saw Nicole laughing at something Ryan said. Saw my father relax, his shoulders dropping as he tasted the osso buco. When I finally went to their table, they stood up. Sarah, Nicole said. This place is beautiful. The food is incredible. I'm so sorry for how I acted. How we all acted. I'm sorry too, Ryan added. We didn't see what you were building. We should have asked, should have paid attention. I looked at them, my brother and sister who'd always been so sure of themselves, so confident in their paths. They look different now. Humbler, maybe. More aware. Thank you for coming, I said. It means a lot. My father stood and hugged me. Nana's looking down right now, and she's smiling. This is exactly what she wanted for you. I know, I said. I feel her here. The restaurant thrived. We got write-ups in local papers, then regional magazines. Food bloggers came and raved about the authenticity, the warmth, the stories behind each dish. My Instagram following hit 50,000. But more than that, I'd created something meaningful. A space where people came not just to eat, but to connect, to remember, to celebrate. On the 1-year anniversary of the restaurant's opening, I was closing up late when I found an envelope slipped under the door. No name on it, just a small cream envelope. Inside was a check for $25,000 and a note. Sarah, use this to expand. Buy that second location you've been talking about. Consider it an investment from people who believe in you. Ryan, Nicole, and Dad. P.S. Nana would say this isn't about money. It's about family, supporting family. We should have done this sooner. I called Ryan immediately. I can't accept this. Sure you can. Consider it our way of saying sorry. Of saying we see you now. We see what you built. What Nana helped you build. Ryan. Also, it's not a gift. It's an investment. We want equity. 5% each, 15% total. You're going to be huge, and we want in on the ground floor. I started laughing. You want to invest in my restaurant? Nana left me money. I'm using it to invest in her legacy. Seems right to me. 6 months later, we opened Bella's Table West End. Same concept, bigger space. Maria ran the original location, and I split my time between both. My father became an unofficial advisor, using his business experience to help with operations. Nicole handles all our legal work now. Pro bono, she says. Family rate. Ryan introduced us to investors, helped with the financial structure when we started franchising inquiries. 3 years after that funeral, Bella's Table has 4 locations. We're in talks for a cookbook. The Food Network reached out about a show. I'm 29 years old, and I built this from a metal box of recipe cards. But more than that, I rebuilt my family. Not the old version, the one that measured worth in dollars and job titles. A new version, one that understands that legacy isn't about what you inherit, it's about what you create. Last Sunday, I made Nana's chicken cacciatore. The original recipe, no modifications, cooked in my apartment kitchen just like that first night after the funeral. I invited my family over. We sat around my small table, passing plates, family style, just like Nana used to do. Ryan told terrible jokes. Nicole talked about a case she'd won. My father told stories about my mother, who'd passed when I was young, and how she would have loved to see this. To Nana, Ryan said, raising his glass. To Nana, we all echoed. And I swear I could feel her there, in that warm kitchen, smiling at what had grown from a simple metal box and a handful of index cards. Sometimes the smallest inheritance carries the biggest lesson. My family got money at the funeral. I got recipes. They got what they expected. I got what I needed. And in the end, that made all the difference.